tired of people asking about you know who? No. 21. So you're not tired of hearing about 21?
I'm just ready to disappear with my baby and my man and just...
Baby?
I ain't doing no more crying. I ain't doing no more crying. I'm a gangster. I'm a mother first, and I'm a gangster right after.
Do you guys remember when Latto had Gorgeous Doll jumped at the club and she had a miscarriage? Do you guys remember that? Because I feel like that went by too quickly. I don't know if it's because Gorgeous Doll is not like well known as Latto, so everyone just kind of forgot about it, but she got that woman jumped and had her have a miscarriage. Now, could you imagine if Gorgeous Doll and Latto were beefing now and Gorgeous Doll had Latto beat up and had her have a miscarriage? Do you guys understand how Gorgeous Doll...
Y'all, this wasn't just a pregnancy reveal. This was a full-blown explosion that nobody saw coming. And now, the internet can't look away. It all started with one post, one video, one moment that flipped everything upside down. Latto appeared on screen, glowing, smiling, and then boom, the baby bump. No warning, no build-up. Just a silent confirmation that sent shockwaves through millions. But here's where it gets ugly. Because the name tied to that pregnancy? 21 Savage. A man with a wife. A man with a family. A man who was never supposed to be part of this story, at least not publicly. And yet, here we are. Within minutes, timelines exploded. Fans started digging. Old clips resurfaced. Hidden tattoos suddenly meant everything. And then, the detail that made this entire situation spiral out of control. His wife, Kiana Joseph, saw it all. And instead of silence, she moved. A single action, a quiet response. But insiders are now claiming it wasn't support, it was a warning shot. Because behind the scenes, things allegedly got heated. Voices raised. Trust shattered. A marriage pushed to the edge while the world watched in real time. And now the question isn't just who's the father, it's how far did this really go and who's about to lose everything?
Do you yourself see yourself getting married?
Yeah, for sure. Lots of kids. I won't be rapping by then, so I can be like full-time mom and like have a garden in the back and like chickens and cows and horses and like 10 dogs. That's really in Jamaica.
What the girls lack in common sense, they make up for in looks. If this news and this announcement caught you off guard, then I just want to say that you and George W. Bush could probably go intellect for intellect.
Y'all, by the time the internet realized what was happening, it was already too late to control the narrative. Because what looked like a simple rollout quickly started to feel like a carefully timed detonation. Latto didn't just announce a pregnancy, she erased her past first. Old posts gone. Timeline wiped clean. And then, right at midnight, she dropped a visual that wasn't just music, it was a message. A baby bump dot, a hand dot, a moment that confirmed everything without saying a single word. And that hand? Fans didn't miss it. Within minutes, screenshots were everywhere. Zoom-ins, comparisons, tattoo breakdowns, and all roads pointed to one person, 21 Savage. At first, people hesitated. Because this wasn't just any rumor, this was a claim that could destroy reputations. But then the receipts started stacking up. Old photos where shadows didn't match the story, trips that overlapped just a little too perfectly, lyrics that suddenly sounded less like art and more like confession. And just like that, the secret relationship everyone whispered about suddenly felt real. But here's where it takes a darker turn. Because this wasn't a single man living his life freely. This was a man with a wife, a home, children. And while the internet was busy connecting dots, one person had been watching in silence the entire time. Kiana Joseph. For years, she stayed out of the noise. No interviews, no drama, no public reactions. While the rumor circled, she remained quiet, almost invisible. Until now. Because when that pregnancy hit the timeline, everything shifted. At first, it looked small. A like. That's it. No caption. No statement. Just one tap on a screen. But in a situation this explosive, silence doesn't mean peace. It means pressure.
So y'all, thank y'all for all the congratulations. Business and Personal out now. Big Mama, the album, May 29th. I'm Big Mama, for real. Big Mama, one kid.
And insiders are now suggesting that what happened behind closed doors was anything but calm. Because allegedly, that wasn't approval. It was acknowledgement. A signal that she saw everything, understood everything, and wasn't about to play blind anymore. Sources claim that conversations turned into confrontations, that private calls turned into heated exchanges, that questions were finally asked, the kind you can't dodge, the kind that demand truth. How long has this been going on? Was I ever enough? And why did I have to find out like this, with the whole world watching? Meanwhile, on the other side of the story, Latto wasn't hiding. In fact, she leaned in. The album announcement, the visuals, the branding shift from no kids to Big Mama. It didn't feel accidental. It felt strategic. And that's exactly why the backlash hit so hard. Because to some, this wasn't love. It was positioning. A power move wrapped in emotion. A headline engineered for maximum impact. And the public? They were divided instantly. Some called it bold, others called it messy, but everyone agreed on one thing. This wasn't going to end quietly. Because now, 3 lives are tied together in a way that can't be undone. A wife who's been pushed into the spotlight. A rapper whose double life is no longer hidden. And a woman who just turned her biggest secret into her biggest moment. And the scariest part? This is only the beginning. Because once something like this goes public, there's no going back.
90 Chanel, my boy. Running through these New York streets, about to go have this dinner with my husband.
Oh, wait. So are you tired of people asking about you know who?
No.
21. So you're not tired of hearing about 21?
By the time the first wave of reactions slowed down, a second, darker narrative began to take over. Because now, people weren't just asking what happened. They were asking how deep this really goes. The internet started digging, and what they found didn't make things better, it made them worse. Clips resurfaced of Latto laughing about being with a married man. Interviews where she hinted, but never fully confirmed, moments that once felt playful now felt calculated. And suddenly, the timeline didn't look recent anymore. It looked long-term. Years, not months. Which raised a question nobody could ignore. If this has been going on for that long, then who knew? Because while fans were connecting dots online, insiders were quietly painting a much messier picture behind the scenes. Allegedly, this wasn't just a secret relationship. This was a double life. On one side, 21 Savage, the artist, the public figure, the man seen with his family, maintaining a certain image. On the other, a completely different reality. Private trips, hidden meetups, moments carefully kept off the radar. And for a while, it worked. Until it didn't. Because once that pregnancy went public, everything collided. And the one person who could no longer be kept in the dark? Kiana Joseph. Sources now claim that what looked like silence on the outside was actually tension building on the inside. Because allegedly, she wasn't just reacting to a pregnancy. She was reacting to years of deception. And when that realization hit, things changed. Fast.
Say in the past, like you kind of get funny or like try to be weary about how you approach getting features from men, because a lot of times they be acting funny and they be acting weird. I feel like at this point everyone knows that you're in a relationship. Do you still deal with people like men being funny?
Do everybody know? I feel like I need to scream in front of my talks one more time.
We're hearing that boundaries were drawn, questions turned into ultimatums, and for the first time, the power dynamic shifted. Because now, this wasn't hidden anymore. This was public, messy, unavoidable, and according to whispers circulating online, the pressure inside that marriage reached a breaking point. Not just emotionally, but strategically. Because now there are stakes. A reputation. A family structure, and a situation that could spiral into something much bigger. Meanwhile, outside of that tension, Latto continued moving forward. No apologies. No step back. Instead, she doubled down. More promo, more visuals, more presence. Which only fueled the narrative that this wasn't accidental. It was intentional. And that's where the divide got even sharper. Supporters argued that she has every right to live her life, to love who she wants, to build her future on her own terms. But critics? They weren't holding back. They called it reckless. They called it disrespectful. They called it a situation that was bound to end badly. And then, another layer of chaos entered the conversation. Public figures started weighing in. Some subtle, some direct. Including Le'Veon Bell, who criticized the situation openly. Only for the internet to flip it back on him, exposing his own controversies, his own past, his own contradictions. And, just like that, the focus widened. This wasn't just about one pregnancy anymore. It became a conversation about image, about hypocrisy, about what people tolerate, and what they condemn. But through all of it, one thing remained unclear. Where does this end? Because right now, no one is stepping in to clarify. No official statements. No direct denials. No clean explanation. Just silence, tension, and speculation growing louder by the day. And in situations like this, silence doesn't calm things down. It makes them worse. Because the longer the truth stays hidden, the more dangerous the story becomes. And if what insiders are hinting at is even partially true, then this isn't just messy. It's a situation that could completely unravel everything.
Oh, what's in your stomach? You know what's in there. Latto, stop playing with me.
And just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get any more complicated, it did. Because now, it's no longer just about a relationship or even a pregnancy. It's about what happens next. Behind the scenes, the tension has allegedly reached a level where silence is no longer an option, but speaking out could make everything worse. For 21 Savage, this isn't just personal anymore. This is reputation. This is legacy. Because for years, he managed to keep two worlds separate, one public, one private. But now, those worlds have collided, and there's no clean way out. Sources are suggesting that conversations have shifted from emotional to strategic. Not just what happened, but how do we control what happens next? Because every move now is being watched, every post analyzed, every silence questioned. And in the middle of all this, stands Kiana Joseph, the one person who never asked to be part of the story, but somehow became the center of it. And insiders claim she's no longer staying quiet. Allegedly, this isn't the same woman who ignored the rumors before. This is someone who has now seen everything play out in real time and is responding accordingly. There are whispers that she's setting boundaries, that she's making it clear what she will and won't tolerate. And more importantly, that she's no longer willing to protect an image that didn't protect her. Because from her perspective, this wasn't just betrayal. This was exposure. Public. Loud. Impossible to ignore. And that changes everything. Meanwhile, on the other side, Latto appears unfazed. If anything, she looks more in control than ever. The rollout continues. The branding evolves. The narrative, whether intentional or not, keeps building. From no kids to Big Mama.
A spit, a swallow. Oh, I'm a swallow for sure.
She gave me swallow.
Because I want you to know, yeah, that's mine.
Mine.
Oh, you know something? I cannot do that.
Why?
But can you do it all the time? Or is that a special occasion?
Every time it's nothing.
Ooh, I gotta grow up.
I have to it's something about like him seeing me like, yeah.
It's not just a personal shift. It's a complete transformation. And some are starting to question whether this was always the plan. Because in an industry where attention is currency, moments like this don't just happen. They're leveraged, amplified, turned into something bigger than the original story. But at what cost? Because while one side is gaining visibility, the other side is dealing with consequences. A marriage under pressure, a family dynamic disrupted, and a situation that's now too public to quietly resolve. And then there's the biggest question of all. What does 21 Savage actually do? Because every option comes with fallout. If he stays silent, the narrative writes itself. If he speaks, he risks confirming everything. If he chooses one side, he loses the other. And right now, he's standing in the middle of a storm he can't control. The internet has already picked sides. Some are defending Latto, calling her bold, unbothered, living life on her own terms. Others are standing with Kiana, seeing her as the one who was blindsided, disrespected, and forced into a situation she never agreed to. And then there are those watching purely for the chaos. Because let's be honest, this isn't just a story anymore. It's a spectacle. A real-time drama where every update feels like the next episode. But unlike a show, there's no script, no controlled ending. Just real people, real consequences, and a situation that keeps escalating. And here's the part that no one wants to say out loud. There might not be a happy ending here, because even if things settle, the damage is already done. Trust has been broken. Lines have been crossed. And the internet never forgets. This will follow them. In interviews.in, music.in, every future move they make. Because once a story like this goes public, it doesn't fade, it evolves. And right now, it's still evolving. Every day, new reactions, new theories, new pieces of a puzzle that still doesn't fully make sense. But one thing is certain. This situation is far from over. And if what's already happened is this intense, then whatever comes next might be even worse. And just like that, what started as a quiet reveal has turned into a full-scale public unraveling, and there's no sign of it slowing down. Because now, the silence is louder than any statement. No clear answers. No clean explanations. Just tension building behind the scenes while the world watches every move like it's evidence. And the longer this goes unresolved, the more dangerous it becomes. People aren't just watching anymore, they're choosing sides. Some are calling it love. Others are calling it calculated. But one thing nobody can deny is that this situation has crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. A pregnancy doesn't just change headlines, it changes lives. Permanently. And now the pressure is on. Will he finally speak and risk confirming everything? Will she push further and force a decision? Or will this spiral into something even messier, something nobody involved can control? Because behind the filtered posts and silent reactions, there's a reality none of them can escape. Reputation is on the line. A marriage is hanging by a thread, and a new life is about to enter the middle of all this chaos. So the real question is, what happens when the truth finally comes out? If you thought this was shocking, you haven't seen anything yet. Stay locked in, because this story is still unfolding, and the next update might change everything.